to the class. Okay, this is a web-based call. We're operating in the following procedure. This session is both video and audio recorded. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting, and will generally be keeping video on themselves throughout the meeting. If a member of the public creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of staff or chair. For public input before the meeting, please email your comments to publicinput@columbiact.org within 24 hours before the meeting. For public input during the meeting, your comments can be submitted through chat, feature in Zoom meeting, or wave your hand and request that the mic be unmuted. Please include in both methods your name and address. And for your information, we have not received any public input comments. And the meeting started at 7:10 for a regularly scheduled meeting of FiPAC.
Thank you. Like you said, call order 7:10. I suppose we could say the pledge of allegiance, those here, those at home, feel free to be silent. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
audience citizens, do you have anything?
We do not have any citizens.
Okay. Approval of minutes, July 21st, 2021, FiPAC minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes for the meeting of June.
Is there a second? I'll second.
Second, yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
So Ernie, you were the second?
Yeah. No discussion? In that case, all those in favor, show of hands from you guys who are zooming. All those in favor?
We got Brian, you didn't vote.
I'm abstaining. I wasn't at the meeting.
And Lauren, what's your vote? You're muted.
For the last meeting, sorry, it's kind of hard to hear you guys.
Were you at the last meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. She was
Yeah,
virtually, yeah.
Okay, so are you voting yes for the minutes?
yes.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses and 1 abstention.
By the way, Mike, I had a quick question.
Yeah,
Can they see us or just you guys?
they can see us in the upper right box. When you
So
talk,
they, oh, I see, okay, so
you
they
get a
can see,
Hollywood square.
they can see all of us, okay, I'm just curious.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So I have to be careful when he gestures on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correspondence, anything in the correspondence that caught anybody's attention? Questions? Nothing? Moving right along. 2021 year projections, expenditures and revenues. Dan, you want to walk us through?
Yeah, so I sent the summary along with the detailed report. So, you'll see on the thing, I started out with the town revenue, and I broke it out between property tax collection, municipal aid, and the other town revenue. So right now, pending some further year-end adjustments that I still need to make, there is a current surplus going into the fund balance of $361,622. When you go down to the expenditure page, and there's the town operating budget, contingency debt, and the board of ed operating. The total going back to the general fund, those four budgets will be $600,935.
Now, slow down a second, please.
Okay,
We also have challenge.
yeah, this is junk. I don't think these,
What's the first document you were referring to?
You're in this one.
yeah, this one.
Yeah, it was right over, right after all this.
Yeah, that's it.
Go ahead.
So, I will say the reports, we're not putting the same order as the spreadsheet.
That's okay.
So when you move on to the expenditures between the town operating contingency debt and Board of Ed, there's $600,935 going back to the fund balance. So the total going back to fund balance is $962,589 which is basically about 626 more that we projected during the budget process.
I'm sorry, Bev, can I ask you to repeat those numbers? I just couldn't hear them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do I have the reports? You have the
Yep. So what page are you on?
So basically, it's the next page right after all the correspondence.
Okay,
Summary of
It's-
2020.
Yeah, it's called the summary of the 2021 budget, both town and Board of Ed, as of 9/10/2021.
okay, I got it.
Okay.
So you have to start all over again.
You want me to start over? Start over. Okay, so I'll summarize it. So so far at the end of this year, and I will say this is all pending audit, and there's some further adjustments that I need to do in the next couple weeks with revenue and expenditures. So right now, there's a surplus of revenue of over $361,000. For expenditures, that includes the town operating contingency, debt, and Board of Ed, there is a surplus of expenditures of over $600,000. So total surplus right now, which is going back to the general fund, pending my further adjustments in audit, is over $962,000. That figure is about $627,000 more than we had projected during the budget process. Just because we always know what was coming in revenue and some of the year-end spending. But again, these numbers will change again. As for capital, this is what's showing on that report, is basically showing the year-end balances that are in capital for both the Board of Ed and the town, and that's a total of $1,089,000. So that's basically for all approved capital, and what's left over, it's still open projects that's moving forward to next year.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? Yes?
Yeah.
The next reports that came up are the detailed lines that you can go through. I didn't think we need to go through all the lines, that you can review, and, certainly can let Ernie know or contact me if you have questions about certain lines. I will give you an update on the Board of Ed. So this week, they did approve their transfers. And pretty much the surplus is should be staying pretty much of the
We got
600.
it.
I'm just going with a general review.
You're still on the same form?
Yes, because these are just for everybody to review, the individuals. So the transfers are approved, and basically the surpluses they're going to be showing this year is tuition, all their transportation surpluses, which you should be able to see on the reports. And there's some money left over in the health insurance line, and then in a technical contract line. They didn't use all their IT money. So those are all, that's gonna total the $287,000. That's all going back, and that's been approved. And just so you also know, they had a board meeting, and I haven't followed up with Maria, but the consensus was they will not be asking for any funds to be put into the non-lapsing account this year. All the money will be going back to the general fund. So there'll be no request coming.
Okay, let's skipping, Kelly, start looking for the actual unbudgeted Board of Ed page exhibit.
Yes, so that's probably, that was right on top.
That was the one, two, maybe the third thing down.
Maybe.
Is that what you're looking at, actual budget?
Yes, got blue printing on the.
Yeah, I got it.
The only reason I'm picking on, not picking on you, Kelly, but just wanted to point out that this really shows the fund balances in the year balances
Yes,
before the transfers, and that's what you had been asking for. So if you look at an individual item, it shows the original budget and what was actually spent before it zeroed out with a series of transfers. Got it?
it's pretty much, once I post the transfers, I can't recreate that report.
So you haven't posted it?
Yeah, it's not in here, but this is basically the detail behind what you asked for last meeting. When you said in the budget document, let's put original budget and actual spending. This is the detail that answers that question.
Yes, there's reasons behind that.
Oh, sure.
There was interim,
But that's what that means.
yes, negative on the expenditure line means they overspent on those lines. A positive means there's surplus or available funds. Those are the lines that we use to cover any deficit line or overspending.
So certified was short 10,999.
No, that was just one line.
Oh, just one line of certified.
The bold print is the whole,
So overall, they were up 152,
yes,
and overall, non-certs were down 82,000.
yes.
Okay.
This is nice. This is easy to read. For me,
Yeah, I mean, if this is the type of report, and say get in the summary report, this does not include the grants. It does have all the grants posted in there, so this is net of grants. Basically, it's a town appropriated budget. So if you wanted a separate report showing, I thought I included that in here somewhere too. There is a report showing all the grant funding that was spent too. Yeah, there is. I want to make sure you saw what grants came in and what they spent, and that's. So that's in there. So if you want to see the full Board of Ed budget, you would add the grant spending to the Board of Ed to get the full picture. If that makes sense.
That
Yeah,
makes sense, but
yes,
it just confused me, so.
I know.
I'm not gonna look at it.
You don't have to.
But
That-
again,
That's just the budget grants that, outside of the appropriated budget, so it's just an FYI, if you're curious what kind of money they came in with, there was some of the ESSER, which is the Corona Relief Funds, and the Board of Ed, State Board of Ed gave them some money to help with, extra staffing and stuff.
And that's the details of capital.
Yes, and that should match your.
Yep, it does, it matches one. So the last page
That's good.
is all the detail for the town capital, how we came up with that. Year-end balance of 1,089,283. And this document shows each line item of capital and what we encumbered or haven't spent yet.
I did try to make sure the numbers. match. Hopefully I did nothing.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
yeah, Brian,
Oh, If I understood you correct, Bev, you said that when you transfer this particular, all of these numbers are going to be reset somewhere. We won't be able to see them again.
So the ending balance showing all the negatives, that's part of the system. It's done by the month. So when I post all the budget transfers, it's gonna, that where it says balance remaining is gonna turn to zero, or leave a surplus where we chose to leave a surplus.
Is there a way that we could save this as a document somewhere so that, so next year and the following year, I think one of the things we talked about was looking at trends in spending and where they're short and where they're long. Is there any way to save this other than just us keeping it?
Save it on a file in my budget folder on the server.
Yeah, if it's a pain in the butt, I mean, I could just see how it would be valuable to be able to look back at this year over year instead of just.
No, these documents are saved. So as a year-end document, so say next year you can come back to me and say, I want to see before I can pull it up and give it to you.
Okay, then I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought we would never be able to see these specific numbers again.
Now that you reminded me, I did save it. So if by chance, say next month and I forgot I saved it, you say run this report again, and I posted everything, then it won't be in the.
I got you. We won't get real time. This is snapshot in time. That's it. Got it. Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bev. Did you have more that you want to talk about?
For the 2021, unless anybody has any more questions on these reports, we can move to the fund balance projection that I supplied. But, move on to that, because that's what everybody likes to know about. So yeah, so there is another one. The last report in here is kind of a reconciliation of the fund balance from last year's. So what's been posted as of, I should say, June 30, 2020, shows all what's going in, the adjustments to fund balance to get us to currently where it's going to be, based on any further adjustments for the audit, my year end and all that. So basically, the undesignated fund balance is at $4.2 million at this point. It could change a little, like I said, once I get through all my year-end reconciliations. And that will make it almost 24% of total 21-22 budget requirement.
Actually, it's at 4.8, and we anticipate using 558.
That's anticipation, that's the 4.2 is after using the 558.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
technically it's at 4.8.
Yeah, the 4.8, yeah, before I make those adjustments, yeah.
Okay, so that includes the adjustments for relying on fund balance to do the.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
and
right there.
these prepaid expenses that we have to make sure we pay up, so,
So it's $1 million more than we thought we had it was.
yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you again.
Sure, honey, no problem. Yeah, I mean, that's just basically, I thought you also would like to have this as a starting point when you're looking at year end, getting ready for budget and looking at upcoming spending that we ended up pretty good this year. I think, that some of this has to do with the revenues, building permits and real estate conveyance, and state didn't cut as much, and we got some extra money here and there, and some of the spending that wasn't done between the town and the board of ed, part of it has to do with COVID. So, I think overall we ended up pretty good.
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah, 23.7.
Yeah. And still keep the mill rate where it was, so. Any questions?
Oh, well done.
Oops, thank you.
Good job, Beth.
I also want to, for the record, Bev has been putting in a lot of hours with everything going on with COVID and with the school and with the town. It's been a lot in all the departments, but more so on finance. So, thank you.
No, thank you. Show my appreciation. I'm gonna drink a bottle of champagne tonight.
That's right. It's during the week, so I would have.
Okay, where are we?
Now, an update on American Relief Plan. It's like combine the capital plan and the American Relief Plan together.
Yeah, whatever.
Mark, you want to take that lead?
Sure. So if everybody jumps to your, unfortunately, Brian has it, but Kelly and Lauren don't. This is a large 11 by 17. We said it electronically.
You said it right now. Oh, I'll do it right now.
Okay, we're about to email it to you. It's been being modified today based on the board of selectmen meeting last night. So when you bring it up, at the top of the 1117 is the approved budget capital program with a spending balance of 691,000. Remember, we cut out a lot of projects that we thought ARP money might be able to fund, and we were worried one rule might be that if we already funded it, we couldn't fund it with ARP. So the first columns before the pink, that says unbudgeted projected projects are all budgeted. So now we jump down to more than half the page of projects that either are not in the budget or we're working on getting pricing on these different projects. This is the known projects and the new projects that have come up due to COVID, due to talking to departments. And what we've listed is the dollar amount we think they're gonna be and whether we think ARP could fund it, or we might have to go back to the general fund, or we might be looking for a grant. These are all moving targets based upon, we still haven't received final clarification on ARP rules. So they're still being worked on by the Treasury, and small towns have still not been trained. They've been training cities. But what Bev and I have uncovered listening to Joe Courtney's office, his grant specialist, me talking to my liaison at CCM, our lobbyist group, other town managers, is that it's a definite go. Anything you do in HVAC or air handling is covered, because that's directly tied to code. So last night at the Board of Selectmen meeting, the Board of Selectmen, because we want to get going on these air projects, authorized $18,000 for HVAC upgrade to the firehouse, $12,000 for an exhaust system upgrade at the firehouse, $27,000 for a new audio-visual training system so that the firehouse can do most of their training remotely, like we're doing right now. But it's upgrading the whole firehouse, all the conference rooms, video cameras, everything. And then 45,000 it's out to bid. That's our estimate without the bids coming in to upgrade the town hall HVAC. Plus, and we still haven't gotten the bids back, but we have internal estimates of about 200,000 for a new handicap bathroom storage and concession stand at Rec Park. And the thing we have to prove is that anything we spend at Rec Park will result in more people using the outdoors, increased use of Rec Park, and increased use of different parts of our town or other towns that would use Rec Park that weren't using it before. So that's all documenting how it's being used. And when I say documenting, all this documentation has to be presented to our auditors, and the auditors have to say, yes, your logic makes sense based upon the guidelines of ARP and the Treasury Department, we approve. It's not going to be actually approved by the Treasury Department. They don't have time to review every project submitted by every town and city in the state. So they're going to rely on our auditors.
Will they be trained?
I hope.
I'm going to send an email to them to see what they know about their involvement and costs and all that.
I was gonna say, it's gonna cost us.
Probably.
So right now, we received 700,000. No, 800,000.
790.
Okay, so almost 800,000 in ARP funds. That's the first half. So the Board of Selectmen last night recommended 303,459 as what we're comfortable with to allocate and get started on ARP spending. Our thought is to get that validated or approved by FiPAC, and then the first Board of Selectmen meeting in October, have a public hearing, run this by the town since this hasn't gone through a budget process, get their buy-in or their thoughts, and then go back to a Board of Selectmen meeting and do a final vote. And because this could take years, I don't recommend we wait till we bless every cent of spending and then try to ram it through before the deadlines, because you're going to be in trouble. A lot of these projects can take a year or more. So that's our thinking. The school has done an HVAC analysis, and that came back at 5 million. But the school realizes that's a big giant ask on the town. So right now they've scaled it back to request electrical upgrade and just the A wing to be HVAC.
On the electrical upgrade, shouldn't we be talking to Eversource? Wouldn't they know exactly What it would cost for them to run the power to the building
Well,
from the street?
so far, we've used a consultant, an engineering firm to do the analysis.
Eversource would do this for nothing.
Well,
Because we have underground wires and stuff, so you have to run a conduit and all that kind of stuff.
It's still,
but before, this isn't even on, this is in the discussion stage still, the school side. Right now, tonight, we're just talking about the 300 and 3,000, which is easy pickings. This is not easy. And our building inspector is working with Mike Sylvester to look at, do you have to upgrade in order to do the entire school if you're only doing one wing? You know,
right, but Eversource is gonna know exactly what you need.
Well, I'm sure they'll be brought into the picture when they start to work on this, and I know there's the solar panels. I asked Mark, Mike about it today a little bit, and one of the reasons they're gonna have to do part of this is because of the solar panels.
Yeah, are we gonna have problems with our roof if we put holes in it for solar panels?
no, they're
The
already,
solar panels are already up there, so,
Because the roof's not that old.
no, they got approval, basically, they brought the roofing company in prior to putting the solar panels up to make sure everything's okay for them. We're not worried about it anymore.
Are they gonna have a problem, the roofing company, if we put HVAC systems on the roof?
There's already HVACs up there. Or no, the HVACs might be more on the ground level.
I think they're more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question. Lots of.
So this is.
Can I
going
ask
to-
a question first, Mark?
Uh,
Do they have to do the electrical no matter what? Or are they only doing the electrical if they need the air conditioning?
Only doing the electrical, the electric panels are maxed out. The electric panels are maxed out, they can't take any more electrical voltage of new electrical requirements. So they have to bring in, I think they have to run power under the parking lot.
Okay.
And
So they
bring
have
in-
to do it no matter what, whether they get air conditioning or,
Only if they bring air conditioning into the school.
okay, so why are we spending money on something for the air conditioning if we don't know if we're gonna do air conditioning?
We wouldn't spend a penny if the town said, no, we're not doing air conditioning, send the kids home early whenever it's hot. But that's not something I'm gonna weigh in on. That's up to the Board of Ed to sell that to the town and Board of Selectmen.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said they were gonna go ahead and do the electrical anyways.
No, that's just one component on the wish list. But the
Okay,
wish list
all right.
is totally vetted
Okay,
by either board or the town.
okay.
Let's go back to the approval process for these, the 5, 6, 7 items. The plan is to have a public hearing addressing just these items.
Well, you could show the whole picture like we're showing tonight, but say these are the ones that are ready.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think we want to set a precedent of having a public hearing for the next go round. I'm all for a public information display. You know, this is step one, and here's possible step two. We just sort of be done with it, rather than put us up on the hook to have to explain everything in a public hearing.
Yeah, that's a feedback I'd love to have from FiPAC.
I don't think we're gonna put in everything out there. We're probably gonna put in what's approved and maybe, I would think, some samples of other potential projects we're looking at that could be eligible for the American
Yeah,
Legion.
that's sort of what I was
And
saying.
then leave it at that. Some of these other ones that we don't definitely, that's not gonna get.
Right, because we have a lot of projects on here that we do not think are American
Really,
Relief Plan qualified.
Well, for a different reason, I'd like to see those, and I'd like to see a complete list of those. Because what tends to happen is, FiPAC sets a budget, and some of us, I think all of us sort of look at that 5-year plan and say, okay, I'm comfortable with this year, because it doesn't look like capital, the drain or money required for capital in the next 4 years will be that high. And so we set a budget, we're all comfortable, then we come back the following years, and there's new items like a garage, which probably isn't in here, that scares the crap out
It's
of
on here now.
Okay, but again, I think we need to work, not necessarily include it for anything that we do at a public hearing for American Rescue, but I think for our purposes, it would be
So
nice.
isolate to make a rescue.
Yeah.
This
and
is just
this
a
is
draft,
one
this
thing.
is just a draft to start the whole process, so like at the next meeting, we can pull out what's not ARP versus.
Oh, yeah, I'm not criticizing this. I
No.
understand works in progress and I appreciate anything because, again, I'm just throwing out where I'd like us to get to, so you don't go do a whole bunch of work and give it to us and we say, hey, that's not what I wanted. I'd rather
Yeah.
talk now and say,
Yeah, so the fire department's making up their, updating their whole, long range plan too, and another.
Right, their first ask was $500,000.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get some grants. We're having them work on grants for 2 of the big ticket items to see if that might be able to be taken off of the request list. So we'll hopefully find that out by early next year.
yeah, again, I'm not nitpicking, but part of our job is not just to set a budget, but to look forward and say, we can maintain that, what was it, 29.33? Because the worst thing that could happen is we maintain it, and during 1 year, suddenly,
Right.
it's 35. So,
Yeah, so you kind of, you saw this year, so, yeah. That's, move that out this year.
okay. I interrupted you again.
No, I
Were you
just,
done?
I'm done. I just wanted your feedback as to the $303,459 that Foresight would like to. They made a motion to go forward with it, authorize allocating ARP money towards those projects.
Okay, what is the approval plan? That was my question.
There's not,
Asking us, but do we have a right to veto or is it just, or is it?
I think it's more to get your input and consensus and say whether you kind of agree with what the board of selectmen is now presenting as a first round group of projects to present to the American Relief Funds. So I think what they're looking for is kind of like your blessing to say, yeah, this looks reasonable, we'll move forward with it, continue on this, make sure they qualify, and then report them in and, start using the second project.
Well, this is entirely consistent with the understanding we reached at our budget time, right? And, a lot of the heads will say, yeah, let's go for it. So I don't think anything has changed. But who gets the final vote on?
Board of Selectmen.
I think they're gonna rely on whether you have questions or concerns about anything, plus a public hearing. And then that'll determine the final approval on the moving forward with these funds.
Okay, so what do we need to do to let them know that we're not unhappy?
I also make a little motion.
Make a
to say-
motion that you agree with, or agree with their recommendation, or want to modify it.
I have a question. I know we talked about using auditors to look at things. Has this been looked at by an auditor?
No, because I don't think the auditors are up to speed. We're relying on what we're hearing from all of our meetings we're going to with the governor, CCM, and all my question and answers I read constantly from other cities and towns.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Courtney's office.
Right, Joe Courtney's grant writer has blessed these items that we're proposing.
And we'll follow up with her again. I think we should have a double check with her. She's gonna, I think, help with some of the wording that we're gonna use.
And this is just the 5 items that are highlighted in yellow.
Yes, for now. Unless you think there's something else we should add, I think under the circumstance, I think this is a good start.
And I think I would be willing to make a motion that we accept and approve what the board of selectmen has forwarded us. They're highlighted in yellow for the total of the ARP projects
For first step.
for first step. Yes.
I'm sorry, guys, I can't understand what that motion was and what the step is gonna be that we're doing and approving right now. I'm sorry.
Everything that was highlighted in yellow was approved by the board of selectmen last night to be the first step in using ARP money for projects that we previously talked about. So I was making it to approve that. We've talked about this in previous meetings. Board of Selectmen pass it. I'd say FiPAC should give them a blessing, and this should be the beginning.
I'll second that. that's where we're at.
Yeah, basically, they can do what they want. This is entirely consistent with what we discussed as a rational plan back at budget time. So I don't think, they're not throwing anything new at us.
No,
They're just saying, I guess at this point, we had discussions, we got limited new information. We talked to Courtney, we talked to whomever, and all the feedback we're getting says that our original thinking back at budget time seems to have been right on. So, and they have given us that summary or sent the information through Mark, and now they're asking us, do you see any reason for us to not do this? And I think the motion is trying to say, no, I don't see anything wrong with this. We endorse your thinking, go ahead. Fair enough?
yeah, absolutely. That's what it says.
So this is the next step and it has to be done before the October town meeting. Is that what I understand?
Yes, we'd like to go to the public hearing with a combined board recommendation of an endorsement for the first step in allocating the ARP money.
You still concerned, Kelly?
I'm just trying to review it. So it seems like it's almost half, a little less than half of what's totally been allocated, which we're supposed to spend over 2 years.
Well, the total allocation is going to be 1.6 million.
Oh, I thought you just said it was about 800.
We're receiving it in two annual deposits of 800,000.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna get 800. We're spending 300 this year. We're gonna get another 800. Okay. All right.
We only have at the moment 800 to spend.
Okay. Okay.
Basically encumbered or contracted by end of 2024, but we have till 2026 to actually spend the money.
Okay.
The process of selecting what we want to do so that we don't run out of time in 2024 and going, oh, now I gotta spend all this money. So
Right. Okay. And I know, Mark, I appreciate what you said about not waiting till last minute and plan every single thing, but do we have a general sense of some of the other things we want to spend it on and what they'll cost so that we
Yes,
can
so
say whether this expenditure is, premature, maybe we want to save it for something else. I just don't know what the general thinking is about the balance of the spending, the million, whatever, 3 left. You feel like there's ample money to do the things that we're gonna really want to do? If we approve this 300 and it gets spent,
yes,
there'll
I
still
think
be enough?
things we need to get done, we'll have the money. The wants might have to wait, or might have to be funded through multiple years of a budget, or might have to go to general fund if we say, we've run out of money, but we still really need to do this. So that also be harder discussions. So
Okay.
we're trying to approve the things that are important right now to keep everyone safe due to COVID.
Okay, all right. And then the one last question about process. I know the Board of Selectmen made this decision. Do they do it in consultation with all of the departments? I thought I heard that there was gonna be some plan to get the departments together and have them make proposals. Is that gonna happen later?
So that process of working with department heads and Bev and myself and Stephen has been going on for 4 months,
just a couple months.
at least hardcore for 2 months. But we've been meeting religiously for 4.
Okay,
So this whole list on this spreadsheet, if you finally open it, Kelly,
I can, yeah, I have it.
that's all the things we're working on through the department heads.
And again, some of this is based on what we know that could potentially qualify for the funds. So like, you look at my department and I don't qualify.
Okay,
Yeah, the other side is that, those people interested were sort of pressing at, budget time to get these projects funded, the highlighted projects funded, and we sort of hinted, yeah, we're gonna find a way to deliver these to you, but trust us to let us take it out of the budget, we will we're fairly confident we can use the rescue plan money to fund it. So now we have the money, and I think, and it's sort of, we didn't make a promise, but I think we hinted at a promise, and that we should.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Ernie. Thank you. You're right. All right, I think that was my questions. I feel good about this. Thank you.
Glad we can make you happy, Joe.
Isn't that what you live for, Ernie?
Oh, yes. We have a motion and a second. Do we need to discuss it anymore? Basically, we're just saying, the message that we endorse the suggestion, or the operating plan.
Correct. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
6-0.
Thank you.
And commercial break, I guess, Judy sent an email, so I just found it to everybody. She apologizes, but she's in Alaska with no really Wi-Fi, so she can't.
This is a good excuse.
Wow, she sent an email. I think she's tricky us.
Yeah, I think she's taking us to,
Yeah, tell her to have fun in Alaska.
I did.
Kiss an Eskimo for us.
No,
I
bring me
didn't know that
back.
part, but I said, she can have a recording or something.
What's those fish that swim up the lake in the rivers in Alaska? Sounds.
Salmon.
Oh, tell me bring a suitcase full of that.
Halibut, too.
Okay, towards my agenda, where are we?
Finance department.
Okay, I assume that's you.
Yep.
Actually, I think we're done. That's one. I don't think there are any capital questions for you.
I'll just listen.
Okay. Well, she has her hand up.
Not up here.
Oh, my mouth. I think we're all set, Beth.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.
We don't have any traffic?
Oh,
Yes,
no,
I
we'll
do.
get there. We're- So just a little update of what's going on in the finance department, so that everybody knows, there are at least 4 audits coming up.
Excuse me a second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who was that?
Beth Lund.
She's the public works director.
Why didn't you introduce her?
Oh, sorry, I thought you all met her.
Oh, we've been in isolation for her. Never mind.
Oh, she'll be on the next meeting, I'm
Okay.
sure.
Go ahead.
So yeah, so for the finance board, there are 1, 2, 3, at least 4 audits coming up. A couple of the annual PERMA workers' comp payroll audits, where they use payroll to compare it to premiums. I don't think there's gonna be much of an impact. I think they've made us still premium neutral. So any changes and big changes should impact the premium, but we'll find out this year. The annual town audit is going to be the 3rd week of October. So they're going to be here for the week. And then the usual lovely annual Board of Ed, I call it the master report, /EFS report. That audit will probably run in November. That gets delayed because we have to wait for the system to reopen and make sure there's no changes based on the town audit. So that is coming up. So this is usually one of my fun times a year, pulling all that information together. I am in the process of updating our current accounting system, the MSI. They finally went web-based and added some new features. So this reporting is going to, reports might change a little bit, but it should make it easier so that now the files will be on the server, they'll be up in the cloud, secure, and but we will be able to keep some our old data that we currently have. So in case we need to go back, like we have files going all the way back to 1999, in case anybody's really interested in looking at that kind of stuff. So and they're basically the annual charge will not increase too much with this change. So that's a bonus. Keeping with this company. And then we're also looking to also update payroll system paychecks, which is called the Flex program. It's going to be a little more online based. There's a possibility employees can actually look up their own pay stubs, go a little more paperless. And it's supposed to be a better program than what we currently have. So this is going to be another upgrade. So this should all happen in the next couple, these 2 updates should happen in the next couple months. So, yeah, so it's big time.
Already done.
Welcome to the 2000s.
Yes.
Okay, transfers. We have two for the current, or last year, or the year we're about to close.
Yes.
Two.
I gotta look at the,
General supplies and pension expense.
oh, wait a minute. These are the board of selectmen ones. Hold on. All right, give me your sheet.
The sheet,
Oh, never mind, it has the wrong cover sheet on this one. Okay. All right. So there are six transfers. Six transfers. So the first two are for last year. I need to transfer $653. It's gonna come from the facilities department, from the, what's left over in the machinery equipment. There was stuff that turned out to like conference room items, we didn't use much money, but they overspent in the general supplies. Again, this is a new department. So just buying new extra things at the end of the year, took the budget over by $653. And then the second one for last year, oh, that's what it was. There was a lot of keys bought, got a late invoice. That's why there's 650 short. And also from the 457 employer match line, we're going to take $2,365 and move it into the pension line. This year, with some of the changes with employee statuses, there's more staff that qualify for the pension, as well as Empower Retirement, who monitors these accounts, did a mandated restatement of the 401A plan document, so they charge us $1,500. So I need funds to cover that for the year, for last year. For this year, we've had a few unanticipated expenses this year. So from contingency, we'd like to move $2,200 to pay the full cost of the legal that was in the Chronicle. If you all saw the 2 pages, 2 full pages posting the charter revision. They charge us $2,200. Another contingency transfer is for $879. The tax collector needed a validator in her office. It was probably like 10, 15 years old, and she used it to process everybody's payments. And it just basically barely lasted this collection period. So we need to get into one of those. And the last one is $9,000 from contingency. It's a needed repair on the dock at the beach. Apparently there's some erosion, is the best way to put it, under the water, which is undermining the dock and where it's sitting, and it needs to be taken care of as soon as possible, or at least once the lake is drawn down. So we're asking for $9,000 from contingency. That's all.
I move that we approve the transfers as presented.
I'll second. Throw it open for discussion. Any questions? None. In that case, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We have all 6.
So 6-0 approved.
Okay, anything else? Any general comments from anybody?
I hope we can get back to where we just come in on where my COVID. I agree. I can't find the second page to the town of Columbus special town meetings. The town counts. I'm getting two. Seems like it could be a piece of paper though.
Would that be on the internet, on the website?
Yeah, it says we're appropriating 47.5. And then it says there were 2 different numbers on 35.29 acres, and then down below it says we accept a donation for 24.96 of the acres. It was $49,000 to buy the difference.
Okay, so we'll resend that out there, but. So,
You think I can read that from you? No.
I found it.
There's the second page.
No, we'll send you the whole thing, because there's only one page in my document. so.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense to me.
You actually read it.
I do.
Good job.
Somebody read it.
so, yeah, there's 3 of 3 and we only have 2 pages, so we're missing
No, you got
2 of
one.
3.
You got one.
Okay, anything else?
This is page 2.
Well, the next meeting is October 20th, right?
Yes.
So it says third Wednesday. Okay. Okay, in that case, I will move to adjourn and we'll adjourn without vote. Thank you, folks.
Good.
What time?
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
See you next month.
And you're serving ice cream, right? Yes. Yeah, I told you years ago, don't hand the papers, you don't want me to read it.
I read it and I was going full speed and figured I didn't care about what they were saying.
Well, I look for the discrepancy. One minute we're talking about 35.2 acres, and that's 24.96.
This is August 3rd.
Two different-
Okay, good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, August 3rd, special meeting, town meeting.
Yeah.
I got something down. Someone's going to fight that.
Exactly.
Hold on, let me stop recording. Meeting ended at 8.